And guys, we on Hebrews chapter 3, we're reading from verse 1 to 6. And verse 1 says, "Therefore, holy brothers, you who share in a heavenly calling, consider Jesus, the apostle and high priest of our confession." And so this morning we're going to consider Jesus. He's greater than the angels. He is the great high priest, and he is greater than Moses. He goes on to say, verse 2, "He was faithful to him who appointed him, just as Moses also was faithful in all God's house." And so Jesus is absolutely faithful. He calls us as his followers to be faithful. And Moses is an example of someone who faithfully served and led the people out of Israel, delivered them. He was the intercessor in many ways. He was the representation of the law. And so Jesus also perfectly obeyed the law, but far greater than Moses, because Moses was a sinner in many ways, also failed. An apostle, he's goes on to say that he's an apostle, and he's a high priest. So he is the apostle of apostles, the one that was sent by God, called out, and he is, as we mentioned last time, the great high priest. Verse 2, he was faithful, and which means trustworthy, just as Moses was faithful in the house. But he goes on to explain what he means. For Jesus has been counted worthy of more glory than Moses, as much glory as the builder of a house, has more honor than the house itself. And so Jesus built the house, he built the church, he is the head of the church, and so every sense he's the creator God, whereas Moses is just the servant in the church who's serving. And so we are his servants, but Christ called us and recreated us. And so in that sense, he's far, far greater than Moses. Just regarding Moses' faithfulness, it's mentioned in Numbers 12, verses 7 to 8. "Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth clearly, and not in riddles, and he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" And so Moses being faithful in all the house, but Christ being far more faithful, in the sense that he never ever sinned, and he is completely fulfilled the law in every regard. Verse 5, "Now Moses was faithful in all God's house as a servant to testify to the things that were to be spoken later." Moses, even a picture of Christ interceding for the people, even wanting to die for the sake of the people. Verse 6, "But Christ is faithful over God's house as a son, and we are his house." We are the people that are born again, that are saved, are part of God's house. And then it goes on to say, "If indeed we hold fast our confession, hold fast our confidence and our boasting in our hope." And so if you hold fast, if you persevere to the end, Matthew 24 verse 13 says, "But the one who endures to the end will be saved." You're proving that you are a child of God. And so one of the ways you can know that you're a child of God is if you're faithful in the service of God, if you're faithfully attending fellowships, if you're faithful at being obedient, and you're not falling away, because in the end there's going to be a great falling away as the trials come. But by proving that you're remaining steadfast, you will be saved, because you're proving that you're a child of God. And so let's remain faithful, and let's remain steadfast, and let's persevere right to the end. Amen.